Hello, loves, and welcome to Tea Time with Monica. Today, my guest is speaker, author, and life coach, Marsha McCray. She explores the joy and excitement of witnessing the manifestation of vision and purpose. Now, y'all know that's what I'm all about. Now, she does this while living intentionally. Living an intentional life has displayed the possibilities when choices and decisions are in agreement and in alignment with God. With intentional planning, choices, expectancy, and encouragement, Marsha teaches you how your dreams are attainable. Welcome, Marsha.
Thank you so much for having me. I definitely consider it an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on and being a guest today. We are going to be talking about all of your work, but especially about this book here, audience. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. This is her new book, Living Intentionally, Daily Devotional, The Powerful Seasons of Your Life, Volume 2. Now, y'all, I was reading this the night before this was recorded, and let me tell you, I'm almost done. It is a page turner. If you're looking on YouTube, those that are just listening, I have tabs, I have notes. You need to read this with a pen and a highlighter and tabs or whatever, because you're going to be taking notes. So let me kick off the conversation with a quote so we can get started. And today's quote is, "Intentional living is the art of making our own choices before others' choices make us," by Richie Norton. Marsha, how does this quote relate to you and your work?
Great question. The quote relates to me. Most of the book is testimonial in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling a group of ladies night before last for New York Fashion Week. I was on a panel with Brooklyn College Business School, and I shared them my story that I dumbed myself down for about, and I told them, I said, I wasted more years than you all are alive.
Wow.
And I dumbed myself down for about over 20 years, just not to rock the boat with friends, and because I didn't want to seem too ambitious or intimidate anyone. As a result, I wasted like 25 years almost. And it wasn't until later in life I discovered my purpose and I even had the boldness to make my own decision. And what you're seeing, living intentionally, is the result of that. Matter of fact, within months of saying goodbye to people that I was not living my fullest life with, the book was released. My clothing label was released. My office was established. I mean, literally things just started. Manna was falling from heaven almost professionally for me when I was able to bid adieu to people who I let make decisions for me, or I allowed myself not to live my fullest life and not make my own decisions.
I like how you took accountability just there when you opened up and said, this is what I allowed. Because a lot of times, when we are trying to think about why we're not doing certain things or why we're not progressing in a way we think we should, we blame others around us instead of looking inward and saying, well, what did I allow? And how can I do better? And then we don't think about, we also have to close doors so doors can be open, or remove certain energies from our space so that new fruitful energy can come in. And then how you just said manna was falling from heaven, that food, that manna that, God gave to them, like that was coming into your world with your business, with life. That is powerful in itself.
Everything happened within 6 months.
Wow.
Within 6 months, once I just said goodbye, and everything, like literally within 6 months, everything, and I could actually say weeks, the clothing line was already established, and I was selling it. Like everything, the new Marsha, what you see right now, literally happened within weeks of me saying goodbye. I can't do this anymore. I can't dumb myself down anymore. I got to be who I was created to be. Because you're going to notice in the book, there's a part called woulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda. I didn't want to have those have to answer those questions. I would have done something. I should have done something. I could have done something.
Right.
No, I'm given one life and we're about to do all of it.
I know that's right. Well, like you say, like you wrote the book, your life is in seasons, you know, it's in seasons. So you had your season then, and from that you learned, and this is you're in a new season.
Yes. I believe we can have seasons we can experience all of the seasons in a day. Yeah. I mean, maybe we wake up and we are in a summer. We're in a fun time. We're ready to go out and get it. Hot girl summer. We're ready to do all of that.
Yes.
But then something happens. Maybe you get a dreadful phone call, and that's definitely going to take you into a winter where it's cold and frigid and overcast. And maybe someone says something to just snap you out of it and give you a refresh, a renewal, and a rebirth. That's your spring.
Yeah.
So you may very well experience all of the seasons, or maybe you have to let some things fall off. That's your autumn. So you may experience all of that in one day.
Yeah. I like how you said that, because you don't think about how your days go. And I was just telling my cousin, we were talking earlier, and I was like, I was so frustrated yesterday going to work, because I still have my 9 to 5, you know, and I was like, I was so frustrated. And I was like, I knew I had to do certain things to get ready for, you know, X, Y, and Z. Came home, crashed, went to sleep, woke up, was able to get into my groove. And then when I laid down to go to bed, I said, thank you, God. Yes. I didn't even think about the fact that I had prayed in the morning for God to allow me to be able to accomplish everything I needed to in the day. And when I finally laid my head on the pillow, I was like, and was reflecting on the day, I said, I really did accomplish what I needed to accomplish. There were some things that didn't happen, but I was like, and I always say, whatever wasn't accomplished that day that I set my mind to didn't need to be done, because it didn't get done. And there's another day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into the book. And I like how you dedicated this book to your grandmother. We don't think about how grandmothers influence us so much. And my mother's mom and my father's grandmother, you know, had such an influence on my life. And I thought about that reading, you know, your dedication, and just thought about like now how I talk about them to my cousins so much. So how was that feeling for you, dedicating this to your grandmother?
I was writing the book during her last days. I didn't know that at the time. And maybe I should have known that. I just really thought my grandmother was invincible. I maybe thought death could not succumb her. Right. I don't know what kind of denial I was in, but I was in it. And she knew I was in the process of writing a book. I just wish I would have finished it earlier.
Yeah.
I wish I would have finished it earlier so she would have been able to see it. But my grandmother is so my hero. She grew up in the most humble beginnings, grew up extremely poor, extremely poor, lived in the South during a time where it was not safe to be of color. And she
sounds like
really,
my grandmother.
And she worked really, really hard, whether it's as a housekeeper, and she eventually graduated. She put herself through school, became an educator, got a master's from the University of Miami, and had a long career in education.
Wow.
My grandmother kept me when my mom went to college. And I just remember those times, you know, grandmother just my best friend. And she really laid the foundation for me. I remember her teaching me the 23rd Psalm. I had to be 3.
Wow.
I had to be 3 in the doorstep of the single wide trailer of a rural town in Florida that's barely on the map. I remember that. I remember the foundation that she gave to me, and I know I wouldn't be who I am now without her, whether it's needing tuition to be paid at Florida A&M or just needing, she never said no.
Yeah.
She never said no. And that taught me to be very careful on what I asked for. So, but I love her, and I will always, and I write in the dedication, until we meet at the feet of Jesus, where there's no sunrise or sunset. I know every day is Sunday, and grandmother's leading a choir or teaching Sunday school somewhere.
I know that's right. I know. Look, like I said, I think about the ways my grandmother is up in heaven doing her thing. Now I know she got up there and was like, first of all, where's the cake? Where's the party? Let us gather and eat, honey. My grandmother, my mother's mom was a minister's wife. My grandfather was a minister. So I know she got up there and said, it's time for an eating meeting. All the ministers' wives, let's go over here. My father's mother, my father's grandmother, like that woman, now that was my bestie, honey. That was my great grandmother was my best friend. Now I know she's just running the show because that's what she did.
It's something about a grandmother's prayers that has, I know I'm living off of them.
We are. But then you also come into the first part of spring talking about your father's lesson about the word shalom and how you use that throughout the book. So I thought, I was like, laying that foundation of like what your family gave you, to me, that made a sense of like, no matter what you went through before you did this, that foundation was there. You just had to find out why it was there.
Yes. Now, my grandmother that I dedicate the book to is my maternal grandmother. And my dad is my dad. But Daddy is such an amazing man, and he is my spiritual covering. He is my teacher. And if I need be, he is my pastor, if I need be. But it's no person that I know that can explain scripture to me as well as my dad does. And he's always had conversations with me. And at the end of the conversation, the last words he says is shalom. And until one day he's like, Marsha, do you know what shalom means? And I really didn't. So I take you into that. Living Intentionally, Volume 1, I end the book with shalom, but I don't explain what shalom means. So for those who do not know, I wanted them to have a great introduction to what they were going to see throughout every single page. Shalom.
Yeah. Shalom. I loved it. I was like, those lessons, like you said, from grandma and daddy or anyone who was there at your foundation can help you through life. You just have to figure out the why and what it was there for. Yeah, definitely. So let's like I said, let's get into the book now. Some parts in spring that stuck out to me were like, be the brand, belief of the child, Monday, next request please, and the potter's wheel. Now, be the brand, and that's because we think when people say that, people who maybe not have their own business or certain, you don't think of yourself as a brand all the time, or if you're not like in this day and age of the influencer.
Yes.
You don't think about your brand all the time. It's like, look, I'm going to work, I come home, that's it. But we don't think about how we set the tone no matter what we're doing.
You are your brand, and your brand introduces yourself before you physically arrive. Your brand is a conversation in the room when you're not even there. You are your brand, whether you are an employee or an employer. You are a brand. Yeah. And I often wonder to myself, and I was wanting to do a conversation about this piece, we're all selling something. Every single person is selling something. Some of us are selling hope and inspiration. Some of us are selling a product or merchandise. Some of us are selling the scripture, not monetarily, but you're producing something. And when I see people who don't put any time into themselves, the butt may be hanging, and I'm not going into a judgmental thing. I understand. It's like you present a certain way. That I am not. I travel a lot, whether it's coming to the airport with pajamas and slippers and the hat and the satin cap. Everybody is selling something. What are you selling? And that's just how people are going to look at you. And unfortunately, we live in a shallow society.
We do.
We're in a shallow society, and people are going to be treated based on how they present themselves. Yeah, that's the truth. And I'm pretty sure that the people who did not take 30 seconds to put themselves together may be treated not as well as somebody who did. Unfortunately, But we are a brand, and I really pray that we understand that, and we really put the time in ourselves to display that, and recognize. I think everybody should think, what am I selling? What am I selling right now? And you may sell the same thing every day. You may sell, I pray that I sell a polished look. I pray that I sell.
You look polished today. Let me tell you.
My prayer is that I show that. Yeah. But if I had any kind of just message to give the masses, definitely the ladies. That's my focus, the women. I just, you are the brand. What are you selling? So when the camera angle is facing your crouch and you have on, you know, your no bra, what are you selling? You're not gonna, the husband is not gonna, you're not selling wife. You're not, you know, so what are you selling? Everybody is selling something. You're selling professionalism. You're selling inspiration. You're selling intelligence. You are a whole boss. you're selling that.
I hope I inspire people to be who they are and what they are. And like you said, it's all based on what you want to sell. So, and who you want to be. And, you know, like I said, lessons from my father. Don't you go out this house embarrassing me. But then you think about, I ain't gonna embarrass myself either. Right. You know, I always tell people, it's funny how people like, why are you so into makeup in your hair? I said, because I had a father. My father jokingly talked about his own kids and be like, come here. What do you have on? And what is your hair looking like? Like, you're not gonna leave this house looking like anything. Yes. And that's instilled. I don't go around my father today without my hair, at least my hair being intact. And I tell my friends when they're first going to meet him, don't you come around my father slipping. Because my father, it talks about his own kids.
To he knows he's going to talk about you.
So I know he's going to talk about you. So let me tell you, I don't walk out the house looking like anything. And when I do, I'll be like, Lord, shameful, let me put on a hat. Because I don't want nobody to recognize me if it's just one of them days and I'm having one of them days, you know?
Yes.
So I definitely understand the being the brand, but I also like the suggestion of, you know, where, like I said, we're in the day of where you're watching all these influencers or stylists on social media, like enlisting a stylist. I have a friend, because of what I do, I have a very close friend who's a stylist. And I was just talking about him, you know, talking with him about your book. And I was like, you know, she suggested people get a stylist, you know, and, you know, show people. I said, you need to do this in your styling on your social media, showing people how they can have those classic pieces and maybe add a few pieces, you know, to their wardrobe. And I was just telling, I was like, you picked an outfit for me back like 3 years ago, and I just wore it recently, and people thought it was a whole new thing because I styled it differently.
Right.
And, you know, just thinking about those little critiques that you don't always think about. I just thought it was great that you put that in there about thinking about being the brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I operate as a stylist as well. In addition, this office that I'm in right now, it serves dual purpose, but I have a whole boutique to my left, to your right.
That's right.
I have a whole boutique there, and I have to practice what I preach.
Yeah, you definitely do. You definitely do. Now, let's talk about I want to get on the Monday, because we dread Mondays so much. And don't
what page are you on?
Hold on. Let me get to it, because it was, you guys, I have to get to the page because people dread Mondays so much. And I just think that you need to think of Mondays differently now that I've read this. Hold on, let's get to that. Monday, yes. Talking about like having the list on Sunday's Eve provides the advantage for starting the morning productively. Like, you don't think about doing the things that we need to, or listing our goals and starting off with a good plan on Monday. We're just trying to be like, oh, it's Monday.
No, Monday could be a really exciting day for you.
You know, that's why I said people dread it.
No. You know, they're not living they're not living their purpose then. If you dread your Monday, you're not living your purpose. I don't know, up until 2 hours ago, I didn't know what today was. So I don't know a Monday from a Friday. I'm excited about every single day. I'm living my purpose. And when you do so, there's not enough hours in the day. It's not, you're upset when it's time to go to bed. It's not, so Mondays, I'm excited. I'm like, oh my goodness, my goals, because I wrote down on a sheet, all of the things. I didn't put it in order, but I need to accomplish all of this. I'm excited. Oh, I'm going to get some goals accomplished this week.
Right.
I'm going to work on several projects, or I'm going to have a sense of accomplishment. And I always tell people when they have a goal in mind, what is it that they want to do? Go there and work backwards. Don't start where you are. On a paper, go where you are and then work backwards. And then now you know what you're working towards. So that list on Sunday's Eve actually is getting me closer to the overall end goal.
And you know, I didn't think about that. I never thought about that, how you can have, and I was like, oh, I got to make, look, like I said, I had notes. You should see, hold on, let me show you. I got my notebook here. I had notes. Yeah, no, I wasn't lying. See, audience, I wasn't lying. I have, no ma'am, when I'm reading something that I know can be inspirational or help my life or help get me to that next point, and I am about, like I said, like now I just turned 40 in July, and it was like a rebirth for me. So I understand when you said you weren't living for yourself, and then now you start, and that, so that's how I am. So when I start reading books, and I had a great therapist who helped me with books, I know now how to get that highlighter, the notebook, the pen out, like I said, the tabs, take your notes, because I never would have thought about that. And I've dreaded Mondays just because I'm not totally in love with my 9 to 5, but see here, this podcast. Yes. Everything else I do, I'm excited about that. So when I know I've got an interview coming up and I'm preparing for it, I've got my notes out. How am I going to do this? Who am I interviewing this week? Okay, how many, who do I need to email for further? So I just don't think about doing that, or just setting even the smallest goals on that Sunday Eve to get ready for the week. So I thought that was really great advice. 9 to 5
can help you with what you want to do, your overall goal. I don't think that there's any time that's spent wasted. Everything, even if it's the 9 to 5 that we don't particularly care for, that is almost training for what you want to do. I don't know what your end goal is, but it is some type of attribute, or there's some experience, or there's some kind of a person or training, or there's something in that 9 to 5 that is preparing you overall. Example, I've been in the airline industry for the past 25 years. And my airline is a JD Power customer service type business company. And they train me every year like clockwork. You have to go through this training every 12 months. And within that training, they do safety and emergency training, but they also teach you customer service. So I would have been a fool to not been trained by the best, and not take that education, that training, and put it into living intentionally life coaching or a Blue Label boutique. My clients, one thing they all say, you provide the best customer service and customer focus. Why? Because my 9 to 5 has trained me to do so. So there was something within that 9 to 5 that helped me be successful with what I'm doing. And this is just the beginning. So and I told you that story for you to see, where can you apply something within your 9 to 5 that's going to help you be better at what you're doing.
Now you're gonna have me thinking all night. But I mean, in a sense, like, I know I've been in politics for years, so I always tell people, I started working on campaigns as a kid, like 10 years old. My dad, a big influence in life. So I started volunteering at the age of 10. So I tell people, I wouldn't be able to do interviews or talk to people the way I did had I not been out there on the campaign trail talking to people about why somebody should vote for this candidate, or why you should be interested in this issue, right? Why you should be interested in this issue, or why you know, these issues are important and here are the key points as to why. So even like I said, when I'm interviewing, we're getting to the key points as to why living your life intentionally is important. Yes. And like I said, we are pulling, like I said, I'm just pulling some things out that stood out to me as I was reading, but I know, audience, that when you read this book, you may get a totally different perspective because you're different and it's going to speak to you differently about your life and what you would like to do. So, guys, you're going to get this book. I know you are. So let's let's keep going. I want to get into the summer part, and let me tell you, I got to skip to summer because where you said add tax.
Yes.
And that quote says, know your worth, then add tax and gratuity. We always talk about knowing our worth, but we don't talk about adding that tax and gratuity. Now, what made you put that in there?
I just really think I'm phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I believe not only am I phenomenal, I think you're phenomenal. I think we're all phenomenal. And we do not recognize our worth and our power. Mm-hmm. And whenever we are phenomenal or exceptional and we experience a service at a nice restaurant, we know we're going to do the standard tip is 20%. But if they do a phenomenal job, we're going to tip them a lot more, whether it's 25% or even 30%. Add tax. Lord, I want the tax on my life. Don't just give me a good life, Lord. Give me that and then some. Give me the gratuity, Lord. Give me it. I want it all, Lord. That's kind of what I want and expect out of life. I'm already going to do a good job, Lord, but bless me even more. That the tax and the gratuity that's the even more. That's the extra. Yeah. That's what I'm expecting. That's my expectation. When I'm tithing, Lord, I'm tithing with the expectation of more. So that's where that mentality comes from.
Okay, because I was like, wait a minute, I know my worth, but I didn't think about
add tax in your gratuity.
Honey, I didn't think, honey, I needed the 6% tax, and then I need the 20% gratuity on top.
Honey, when you are faithful and the promises of God are yay and amen, you're gonna get it all.
I know that's right. But like I said, you don't think about it, but we start thinking about when people start saying, know your worth, know your worth. It's a little bit more. Get a little bit more out of that.
Know your worth. And even as a coach, I may encounter people who want my services, but do not want to pay for them. And this is my business. And I'm not going to give it away for free. Now, if the Lord leads me to hold a conversation and to coach someone out of a situation, then I'm going to operate in that obedience. But I know my worth. I know just how good I am. I know how good I am. Therefore, when I send those invoices, I send it with a tax. I send it with a tax. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my fee, and you're going to pay a tax on it.
I know that's right.
She said, I know my worth. I know just how good I am. And I've seen it. I've seen my clients literally go from different levels in life. And my expertise is Couch to Purpose. Have you heard of the app, Couch to 5K? Where,
I haven't.
So my specialty is Couch to Purpose. I'm not for the person who's established in a executive. That's not my expertise. I can't do nothing for that person. Okay, but tell them you're doing a good job.
Your assignment.
But for the person who is nervous or scared that they're never going to be anything, or they don't even know where to start, or they're not inspired, but they just know it's something. That's my expertise. That's the person I could take them from that and get everything together. And I just so happen to be attracted to entrepreneurs. So I'm like, let's get this life together. Now, baby, let's get this hustle going.
All right. But you know what? That's good that you know your assignment, or as my cousin would say, your ministry, honey. That's my ministry.
Yes.
And that's where I reside. And it's okay. Like you said, you can tell that the person who was established, you are doing a great job and I'm proud of you and I'm happy for you. But you over here, I know you need something. So come
Yes.
get this. And we're going to show you
Yes.
how to live intentionally for you
Yes.
and get your grind on.
Yes.
Now before we, I'm going to skip a little bit because I want to hold one piece for just a little bit longer. We talked about it before we started recording. But as I'm going to say, the conversation is leading us to that section about increasing your grind. You okay, talk.
What season are you on right now?
Summer, increased grind summer, where you say you cannot invest 40 hours a week into another's dream and 5 hours into your own and expect success. Increase your grind. Differentiate chatting versus networking, busyness versus business, hobby versus calling, and lack versus laziness. That part about hobby versus calling, a lot of people don't get there. Yeah. What's your take on that?
The book is so much of my experiences, and I'm an observer of people. And I see so many qualified individuals that are poor. But I will call them, hey, it's 7:30 in the morning and they're still in bed. But what you sleeping for? What you sleeping? What are you tired from? You've done no work. This business you say that you have, is it really a business or is it a hobby? A business is not a business unless you're making a profit. Yeah. You can't make a profit when you're waking up at 11 and you're done at 3. What are we? What are we doing? What are you being productive? I know what we're not doing, but what are we doing here? And I don't ever want to be the person that's preachy or come off as a know-it-all, because I don't. I often tell people the truth. I'm like, hey, I'm not even that smart. I just really listen to God through everything. I'm always just asking, Lord, what do I do? But when you want it bad enough, you're going to rise up early and you're going to settle late. When you want it bad enough, you are going to study the greats. When you want it bad enough, there's not going to be enough hours in the day. When you want it bad enough, there's not going to be an alarm clock that you need. You're going to wake up with your purpose. And I just don't understand. And you know what? And those people are really kind people too. But I limit my exposure to them. I limit the time that I spend with them, because I believe that you are the average of the people that you are close to. You're an average. So if you're close to 2 high achievers and 3 low achievers, you're going to be the median. You're not going to stay at the high level. Right. So if you are the top of your tribe, you're going to go down. So I mean, hey, we could do lunch one day. We could have drinks. That's good, but I cannot be in the presence of that intentionally, because before long, I'm not going to I'm going to think it's okay to sleep till 11. I'm going to think it's okay not to find a way to solve the problem or to gain more clients. And that's not okay for me. Yeah. And I have to be willing. I have to be okay with just loving them from a distance, or loving or being in their presence. A little less. A little less. A little. Like, I think right. And you talk about that, about how, and I forgot what section it's in, but I do remember there was a piece where you were talking about your friends. You're not going to be friends with everybody your whole life. Like, they're there, figure out the lessons they were there to teach you and move on. Yes. Let them go. We are so, we get so committed to the person we went to elementary school with. And if you're able to have a really great relationship with someone you've been friends with 30, 40 years, to God be the glory. And if you all are both all advancing and pushing each other, that is good. But for me, my experience was that I had this 10-year friendship with someone, and they were not growing, and I was not growing. That was the one I spent the most time with. So I couldn't, even if I wanted to grow a little bit, she may make a few remarks, and then I kind of go back down. So you have to really be able to bid adieu, to just say goodbye to what is not allowing you to grow. What was the lesson I was supposed to learn, Lord?
Right.
Let me learn that lesson so I can be given access to the next grade, or to the next level, or to the next level of experiences that's going to get me to that overall best place.
Yeah. And I think about like the people that I hang around the most now, my friends outside of my family, I mean, because I'm very family oriented, but like my friends that I hang around, they're all in like, we're all in this like influencer plus size fashion like community. That's how I got to doing the podcast, but we're all very encouraging. Like I have group text with some of them. We all check in with each other, when we're working on our things, and we're all supportive. Like, okay, you're having an event. They know I host stuff. All right, Monica, I need you to be the host, or I need you to do the red carpet. Okay, my manager who is also co-executive producer of this podcast, he's usually doing the filming, or he's doing the photos for that. I have a best friend who is a hairstylist and makeup artist. So, she made sure I knew how to do my face when I'm not with her, but when it's important,
and that's a
she's
phenomenal
there.
tribe.
Yeah, I love my tribe.
That is a phenomenal tribe.
I do love them. They are amazing. Like I said, I have a friend who's a stylist, all of us, and we're all connected. We're all friends. We might all just go out and hang out, but when it's time to work,
yes.
All right, y'all, let's get together. Let's get it together. And then I'm always, I'm like I call myself like the mother of the tribe. Like me and another friend, we're like the mothers of the tribe, because we're a little older than everybody. And it's like, all right, what you got going on? All right, I haven't heard from you. What's going on? What you doing? And it's those type of phone calls just to check in.
Right. I mean, I prayed for my tribe. I was never a social person. I'm very introverted, believe it or not. And throughout elementary, I had that one friend. Throughout middle school, I had that one friend. High school, that one friend. College, that one friend. Adulthood, that one friend. So I never had the experience of having the 5, 6, 10 girlfriends. I mean, I'm like, oh, that must be so cool. I didn't know what that's like. So I was like, Lord, let me be intentional. Let me pray for my friends. Let me pray for the tribe. And I was like, Lord, this is what I want her to be like. I want her to be this type of person. And I tell you, he has been so faithful. The women that he's allowed to come into my life have been the most fulfilling experience. And we don't have to talk every day. We pick up where we leave off because we all are busy. But we all are go-getters. We're all very supportive. We're all prayer warriors. And I often tell them, you're the friend I prayed for. I tell them, because I prayed for you. I tell them, I prayed for you. Because I can't, when I said goodbye to that one friend, when I said goodbye to that one friend, I'm like, Lord, whoever comes into my life as a friend, Lord, you're going to have to send them to me. And I'll know who that person is. And he has been so good and so faithful.
I love it. I love it. You found your tribe, but it was through purpose.
Yes.
It was through the divine that you found your tribe. I love that. I do. I really do. That I think that speaks volumes on about where you are, because we feed off each other's energy. And like you said, your friends, you all don't talk every day because you guys are busy working on what you've got, what your purpose is. And you guys are go-getters. But when y'all talk, you talk. And I'm sure when you have a good time, it is a good time.
It's a blast.
But you deserve that, because like I said, you've worked hard, you've poured into others. So now it's that when you do that with your tribe, you're still pouring into each other, but it's a different way as to what you're doing with your clients. So I appreciate that. And I pray that always continues for you. So I'm going to put that blessing on you.
Thank you. And Lord, I receive it. I receive it.
Yes. Because I think that's beautiful. And that's why you are shining the way you are and walking in your purpose doing this. Now, I'm going to get to the piece that kind of spoke to me a lot. It's in the summer section of the book, Legacy. and you open up about at the age of 34, how you faced the stark reality that you would never be able to conceive.
Mhm.
And you write a little further down, the legacy is in everyone I help and assist. The
Mhm.
barren individual has so many ways and opportunities to nurture many, contribute to the development of children and adults, mentor, sponsor, befriend, and more. Based on my experience, legacy is much more than reproduction.
Mhm.
Although I will never know why I was selected to never bear my own child or raise a family, I have the honor of being selected by God to contribute to the dreams and visions of others. That is a legacy.
Yes.
Now that I personally, like I said, audience, you may have known, I've said it on here that I've dealt with issues of having fibroids. And then last year I was diagnosed with adenomyosis. I just recently had an endometrial ablation and know that I cannot carry a child. And so many of my friends, when I told them, were just like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I had to tell them, I said, but I'm not. This was a decision for my health. But I am using my nurturing abilities in so many ways. I have two beautiful nieces. I'm always there for them. I have two and one on the way godson that I'm very excited about. And I know through my podcast, I'm helping people. Oh God, I'm gonna tear up again because this is like so near, and that was so near and dear to my heart. And I'm thinking that God keeps leading me to people who have who have this similar, I don't want to say issue, but have this similar blessing of being able to use their nurturing abilities as a woman in other ways than physically bearing a child.
Yes.
And I think that's beautiful because I think that so many women that have this same, and I want to call it a blessing because you have to understand why it's a blessing, that you can use yourself in different ways. Your gifts are not just siloed to one thing. There are other ways to use that nurturing ability. So I wholeheartedly thank you for expressing that, because sometimes I don't know how to express that. I don't know how many other people are dealing or in that same position that I'm in.
There's a lot of us.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only one. I write about how there were triggers for me that would send me into complete anxiety attacks. And Mother's Day, Father's Day more so, the family car commercials with the van and the kids getting in there, camper commercials. I mean, baby showers. Oh, good God. I remember I went through an IVF treatment twice. And I was just really, before I went through my first one, I went and built my nursery at my home. Receiving blankets, I would go in the room, dust the blinds, vacuum the floor, onesies, Pampers, wipes, and I will close the door. Every week I will go in and do the same thing, dust the blinds, vacuum the floor, see the lines, look just the space between each hanger of the beautiful neutral colored receiving blankets and onesies. And when I really had to realize that it just wasn't going to happen, and doctor was like, honey, I can't take any more of your money and I can't give you any more of these drugs. I remember I was invited to a baby shower and she didn't know that, but I emptied out my nursery. I emptied out my nursery and I packed it up, and that was the gifts for the baby shower. And it took me a while to get to this place, but there's so many ways I realized I could be nurturing. I'm everybody auntie.
Okay.
I'm everybody's auntie. Like, I have met perfect strangers and they call me auntie. Many of my clients, they're all female. They call me auntie for whatever reason. I've had an open door policy in my neighborhood. The neighborhood kids always come to my house. I've always had a pantry packed with snacks. If they're having difficulty with school, okay, let's figure it out. Come over here before you go to school. I'll take you to school if necessary, because we have like a really true neighborhood. I punish. I have beat kids in the street. Come here. Don't you miss
the quote unquote neighborhood,
honey? That's my neighborhood.
But I mean, I miss that because I know that growing up in my neighborhood, we all knew each other. We all went over each other's houses, played in the street.
I tell you now. It is, and that's my neighborhood right now. And I so want to move. But it's a true neighborhood. And I love seeing the kids play. And I prayed, let's pray before you go to school. And I remember one, he was weeping in the car. And I said, baby, what's wrong? He says, no one has ever done this to me. Now he has a good mom, but I guess with the busyness of life and the busyness of kids and the busyness of work, he had not experienced that. And I'm like, that's okay, honey. I know your mom prays for you, or she loves you, but it's just, I was able to do that. Or whether it's a family who may not have a lot of money. Okay, I got the kids' school closed this year. Or a kid that's graduating and going to the junior college. Hey, how much your courses are per hour? Here's a course, here's a check. So there's different ways. I've done scholarships. I've sponsored, someone for her entire college experience.
Wow.
Having the grades. I'm like, hey, you're my investment. You're my investment. I'm investing in you, and I want to see my return. My return is your good education and good job. And I remember one time she called me, she says, Miss Marsha, I just want to let you know right now, I might get a D. And I turned into Claire Huxtable. And I said, you will not bring me a D. I started rolling my neck and everything. Okay. I said, you will go to your professors and apologize for being subpar. You're going to apologize for being mediocre and ask what you can do to get extra credit. She finished that class with a B.
I know that's right. But you said you wrote Claire, you had big fun on that college campus, right. And you owe me this amount of dollars because you are there to get this type of education. And if you don't get it, I want my money.
Exactly. So I had that kind of, because I'm like, hey, I've been working hard to give you the scholarship every year. I've asked people for money, and you are going to succeed. She graduated with a master's degree this past year. She now works for corporation. And I mean, and that's that. The thing is, we get to mother many instead of just our kid. Let's say if I had a kid, I would have had one or two or three, and I had to be focused on them. We're kind of like Father Abraham, but on the female sense. Yeah. We're able to have many sons and many daughters. We're able to make sure that we are the best aunts or best influences. We're able to contribute to different people's educations and childhood and school supplies. That is when I tell you, it is the biggest joy. When I released that and accepted what I was supposed to do, I'm like, Lord, I couldn't have been who I am had I had some kids.
And then, you know what? I think about that too. My sister's like, I wanted to be an aunt. I'm like, Danielle, if I had a kid, would I be able to travel with you and my youngest niece? She's a competitive dancer. I wouldn't have the time to travel because I would be focused on my own child. Even with my oldest niece, she's about to turn 18. She's like, this is what I want. I'm like, girl, what leg of the travel do you want me to come on for, for your birthday and your college visit? When she was playing soccer, it's like, I'm there when she was cheering. I was there doing her makeup and helping with their hair. I wouldn't be the type of aunt I am now if I wasn't given the blessing of, like you said, being able to mother many. The kids at my niece's dance school, all of them call me niece, TT, okay? And I am everybody at any dance school that she's been at, TT. I am introduced as, this is TT. They say Mr. T. They don't care. When they haven't seen me in a while and they see me, they run and jump, TT. They are happy to see me, and I'm happy to see. Those are my babies.
Right. I love Oprah. I always say all roads lead to Oprah.
That's my girl.
Auntie
Oprah. Yes, Auntie O.
So I don't know if she could have done all that she's doing, had she had kids at home. And just when I think about her academy in South Africa, she has so many daughters.
Yeah.
Just so many daughters that are going to go forth and do so many amazing things for this world. That's legacy.
That is legacy.
That's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm excited about this journey. I love being auntie. I love being able to contribute to the masses in whatever capacity that I'm able to do so.
Yeah, I love it. Like now, like I said, when I called it a blessing, people didn't understand. Like it was everybody was woe is me, and I was like, stop. I had my moment to mourn this when I found out I had that fibroid in 2013. Now for me at first it was like I was in a similar state as you. I wasn't married or didn't have, because I'm still single. And at the time though, I was searching for that one just so I could have kids instead of focusing on what I could do with my life. But now I'm actually doing that. Now that I've gotten to this point, it's like, you know what, honey, you've got life and you got a good life.
Yes.
And you are going to be okay. So like I said, I keep running, and now that I've been okay and accepted, like you said, accepted it, I'm continuously running to people with a similar blessing. And it's like I can have that moment of joy to say, you know what, we're alike and we understand why it's not supposed to be looked at as a burden or something like you're ill fit as a woman if you can't physically birth a child. There's so many other things you can birth, so many other people you can speak and breathe life into.
Yes, complete facts.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that sums up like living intentionally, when you actually understand that sometimes you think something is a burden that actually is a blessing on you and what you can do with it, then you really learn how to live intentionally, because we don't always understand our path, the work we're supposed to do, or why we're put in certain positions.
I don't understand it, but I trust it.
Yeah.
I think as humans, we are so special, and I don't even mean that in a good way.
No, I know your face, and like anybody who watches the YouTube is going to understand, or just understands the inflection in your voice. It's like, we're special, honey.
We're so special. And, I don't think God can show us all that he has for us. Our little brains would just combust. Like brain will come out our ears if he just gave us a glimpse of what he has for us. So I don't understand what this is, but I trust it. I trust it. I trust it. I trust him. And I know that whatever path he puts me on, he planned that path. He who created the cosmos, who made sure that the earth tilts just right on this orbit, created my path. And I know it was done with intention and with all wisdom. And that is what I trust.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't fall more in love with the book that I already have, but maybe I will as I finish it.
That's a good thing.
But I really, and it was funny because when we first talked, Marsha was like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but people say it's a patient. I said, ma'am, toot that horn.
You did.
I told her, I said, toot that horn. If that's what your audience is telling you, toot it, because that means that you did something right.
Thank you so much. Yes. I'm very proud of it. And actually I'm going into print right now with the second printing. So I'm just so excited. I'm very proud of this work.
Yeah.
Whether it's the discussions in there or the intentional reflections. But I'm very proud of it. I think it's damn good.
You should be. And we didn't touch on the intentional reflections, but I'm like that you brought that up, because when you're reading something for a purpose to help you, you need to learn how to do the homework. As I always call it, the homework, to understand, to reflect as to what did I take from that section? What did I get from that? How is that going to pour into me? And I like how you, at the end of each section, like, you pull out different things and say, okay, what, this is what we're reflecting on here. And it gives you that prompt.
Book clubs. I found that there were book clubs purchasing the book. And I
Mhm.
would find like one lady buying 3 books and 5 books. I'm like, who is this lady and why is she buying so many books?
Mhm.
And I found that with numerous people, but I found there were book clubs reading Living Intentionally. And this was with the first volume. So when I did the second volume, I put in those discussion pieces for those in the book club.
Wow. Well, like I said, it works because like I said, I think when you're reading for something to help you with your life, you need to do the homework because
Yeah.
part of your path is doing the work so you can stay on that path as you continuously evolving and finding who you are and working in your light.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. You understood the purpose of it.
Yes, I did. I totally, like I said, but that comes from my therapist because she made me do the work. She made me
Yes.
do the work in therapy. And if I didn't do the work, I wouldn't be where I am now mentally.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like I said, I appreciate this. I will take notes to continue to live intentionally. Audience, get this book. Reach out to Marsha. She has so much to give. Marsha, before we end, I'd like you to tell my audience where they can purchase the book and how they can get in touch with you.
They can purchase the book at my personal website, marshamccray.com. www.marsha, M-A-R-S-H-A, McCray, M-C-C-R-A-Y.com. And when you order the book, I'm a giver. So when you order the book, you're not only going to get the book, but I love to send a branded pen with it. She has hers.
Yes.
I love to send a lanyard.
I have my lanyard. It's on my dresser now, but I do have my lanyard.
That has like, for your ID or whatever. I have that, and I love to give you a branded mask. So I don't just send you a pen. I like to send gifts and just I'm intentional on the experience I want you all to have. So when you order the book at marshamccray.com, you not only get the book, but you get a lot of other things.
Yes. Like I said, that's your pen to help you take your notes, people. Remember, I said, take your notes. This is the pen you use. You put it with your book and you take your notes. You get your little notebook and take your notes, get your highlighter. Marsha, any last words for the audience that you want to leave them?
In addition to, if you need to email me, livingintentionallybook@gmail.com and livingintentionallycoach@gmail.com. And my final words will be, when you find yourself in an emotional winter, that cold, frigid place, make your way back to spring, your refresh, your renew, and your rejuvenation.
Amen. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on Tea Time with Monica and sharing with us some of that good life tea about living intentionally. Audience, like I said, make sure that you grab this book. It's going to be a page turner. Y'all, I was up reading it and I'm almost done it in one night. So I will be finishing
Wow.
it. Yes, I am almost done in one night. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had to force myself to go to sleep, audience.
Wow.
So
thank you so much.
You're
Monica.
welcome.
Thank you
will
so
love
much.
this.
And I pray I get to talk to you again.
Yeah, definitely. And that's that HBCU love. I heard you shout out FAMU. Okay.
I got to.
But that's HBCU love, and that's coming from a SDSU Bulldog. So, all right. Well, audience, like I said, thank you always for listening to Tea Time with Monica. Bye, loves.
Bye.